Right
What's
on
up,
time.
guys?
Hey,
Yeah,
everybody.
something like that.
All 2 or 3 or
Welcome
70 or
to probably no one.
telling it like it is live.
Well, what was I going to say? Welcome to episode 62 of the Unuseful Idiots. You've only seen 3 of them on this, maybe 4? I don't know. Who knows?
Who, me or that or other people?
No, the YouTube people.
Oh, they've only seen a few on this platform, this version, this live and direct with faces and all.
Yeah. Live and in living color.
It's true. Yeah, this is. I mean, it's nice. You're going for like the dark and mysterious motif. I'm clearly. I think I'm in heaven, surrounded by bright, blinding light.
Yeah, I have to get a light.
Yeah, you gotta do those kind of things so people could see you. Hold on, continue talking. I just have to close the door. You were so prompt today. I'm a little behind.
So, yeah. So, anyway, if you're here, I see we have one person here right now. So,
wow. Thank you for taking time out of your Sunday. Saturday.
It's Saturday. So
it's supposed to be Sunday. We probably would have had 3 people if it was Sunday.
Well, at some point maybe, but yeah, it's Saturday. Schedules couldn't really do Sunday, so we figured why not do it Saturday?
Why the heck not?
And so if you're here or you're watching on the rewind, hit that like button.
Please do.
If you're new, if you're new here, you're probably not here yet, but I guess if you're watching on the rewind, you're watching from the beginning. So subscribe to the channel, and
Tori, have people been watching the rewind, as you say?
Yeah, there have been I think we had 40 views on the last episode.
Wow, that's definitely. It's definitely not my family and friends. So there's thank you.
Yeah, it counts the view if you just view it for 30 seconds. It counts the views, so I don't know how long.
Yeah, they're probably 31 seconds and they're out. They're like, I'm out of here.
So, but whatever.
No, we're just the point is that we're here, to have fun. And if people I don't know about you, Tori. I enjoy talking to you. So hopefully people enjoy listening. And if they don't, well, at least 2 of us are having a good time, or maybe 3 today with our viewer. Thank you.
Yeah, someone's got it on.
It's been a crazy week. It's been a crazy few weeks. It's been a crazy year. It's a really crazy time to be alive. It's probably the best time to have ever been alive, but it's also probably the craziest time to have ever. Well, no, maybe not the craziest. I'm sure if you were living during a real
in our lifetime.
What's that? Well, definitely in our lifetime. But I'm trying to think if humans were alive during some crazy meteor shower where the world there was just fireballs coming from the sky. Yeah, I think there were. I think there were humans here during some of those crater forming meteor showers. That probably felt like pretty crazy.
Not modern humans, but there were.
They count. Non-modern humans
cavemen.
They were still people
Yeah,
with
like
stories. They had
cavemen.
feelings.
Yeah, I mean, there were definitely cavemen during the ice ages and stuff like that.
Right.
You
Well,
know, so
yeah, but I mean, in
what?
terms, but us in our, our like little protective cocoon of like 2020, our 2000s, like, no, we're not as tough as we used to be. So and I mean, granted, there is a viral, pandemic that is serious, and people are definitely dying and have died, and that's really fucked up and sad. But in terms of the other creature comforts, and you know, we've lost a little bit of our edge, I would say. But I think, like you said, at least in modern times, it's probably the craziest time.
Well, well,
Well, no, no,
imagine
no, no.
if
I got to take that back. I'm sure World War II felt crazier. Living during those times, if you were alive between the 30s and the 40s, between the
right, yeah.
Depression and yeah, I'm sure that felt like worse than now. I'm sure.
Well, and there have been other outbreaks during before modern medicine
Yes.
within the last. I mean, modern medicine has only existed for the last 70 years.
Right.
I mean, if you got sick before the 1940s, I mean, even later than that.
Well, yeah, I mean, yes, of course, with like the first heart transplant was what I think in like the 50s, um, Dr. Lister, I read about this in a book, was the guy who Listerine comes from. He only discovered
Yeah,
bacteria, um, the need for uh, antiseptic procedures in late 1800s, or maybe it was even the early 1900s. Like doctors in the Civil War used to pride themselves on how much blood that they had on their never cleaned scrubs or whatever outfit they were wearing to perform surgeries. That's how you gained clout, was by how much blood and guts you had on your one article of clothing that the doctors used to wear to perform certain
and
procedures. And so clearly, cleanliness was not something that was thought of as next to godliness. It was thought of, actually the opposite. It was like, why would you do that? And then Dr. Lister said, like, well, that's because you can get an infection, and people would get infections. Like James Garfield, this is where I'm taking the story from, was this book called The Destiny of the Republic by Candace Millard. It's one of my favorite books of all time. But James Garfield died of there was an assassination attempt. He didn't fucking die. He got shot in like the late 1800s. He didn't die of the gunshot. He should have, but he died of the infection because it just spread throughout his whole body because they didn't understand, cleaning wounds and using clean, surgical tools and
right.
stuff. So that's only 150 years old, maybe less. So thank you, Dr. Lister, for starting us off on that foot, or maybe not foot if you were in the Civil War and you had it sawed off or something. I don't know. Sorry, I was trying to make a joke there. But anyway, we digress. Or do we? No, we
Yeah,
don't.
I
There's
mean,
nothing to talk about. There's no schedule.
I mean, it's just, yeah, I'm trying to think, when was like the Spanish flu?
Hmm.
There
I don't know.
were there were other sicknesses like outbreaks in the 1900s that
Right. Oh, yes, probably. Yep.
you could probably would probably be if we didn't have modern medicine. Because
You broke up.
even what even what people like, you think back to the beginning of COVID, and it was all about, we don't know how to treat this. But even without knowing how to treat COVID, our medicine is still better than back in the 1910s. And, if there was like, I mean, look, the flu didn't just pop up out of nowhere
Well,
during
I
modern
think it was in your
medicine.
lab. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
So, I mean, people got the flu probably in the early 1900s before modern medicine.
They did. That was when the flu pandemic. That might be the Spanish flu you're talking about, 1917.
Yeah.
It was right around the time of World War One, at least ending.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's the whole.
Yes, we've
I
evolved
mean,
in many ways, and we learned a lot. And I think what you're saying is, even not knowing how to treat it, we still knew enough to keep certain
mitigate. Yeah.
people alive. Yeah,
Yeah.
they did for my uncle. My uncle got it in, I think, early April. So that was still pretty early on from when the hospitals were being inundated. And I would say they saved his life. They had him on a ventilator, and he was there for a month.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That's just the thing. Like, they didn't have ventilators in the early 1900s.
Right. Well, it's funny though, because I know other people, now, and maybe it's because maybe he had an underlying health condition that I'm not aware of, and maybe they found some other reason. But I think, to your point, they are now that they do know more about it, they may, like, I don't know that they would use the ventilator as often as they were using it, because it seems
Right.
like most people that get COVID now, it's like, go home, take a couple Tylenol, sleep, and take deep breaths and drink a lot of water. And maybe they give them like a little antibiotic and a steroid.
Well, I think people
I know
are
many people
also.
that have had that prescription since, I don't know, the last few months that have gotten it. Go home, rest, drink a lot of fluid, take deep breaths. That is definitely the doctor's orders.
Right.
Take deep breaths, and maybe here's a script for a antibiotic and a steroid or something. So it's interesting. I wonder if in the beginning that many people needed the ventilators, or they just didn't know, and that's what they thought they needed. And I also wonder if maybe the ventilators were harmful if they didn't really need them.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think probably part of it is today, people, like back in April, a lot of people still weren't aware of COVID, like the severity of it. People
Right.
thought, like, oh, it's just another Ebola type thing where, because a lot of sicknesses have come up and just have become nothing. But so I think back then a lot of people sort of waited until it got bad or weren't as conscious. Like they felt a little sick and they thought, oh, it's just a cold.
Well,
And they didn't go to the hospital until it was really bad. And when it was really bad, in combination with the hospitals not really knowing how to treat it yet, they were like, oh, let's just throw this guy on a ventilator because he's having trouble breathing.
at that point, yeah, I see what you're saying. It's interesting. My whole family was in Vietnam during this time in late December of 2019. It's a little over a year ago, and right, yeah, a little over a year ago, and they were all sick.
Yeah.
and just interesting. I wonder if, no, they weren't saying anything about breathing necessarily, and there was no lingering effect. So who knows? Could have just been maybe just normal flu or something. But anyway, there's way more interesting things to talk about, aren't there, Tori?
Yes. This week, I don't know. This week's been crazy with what's been going on with the stock market.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole Reddit thing, I don't know. I mean, we talked a little bit earlier. You were following it, so it's just insane. That a subgroup on Reddit could band together to manipulate the stock market is just insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, well, it goes to show you how, I mean, this is whatever. Everybody's addicted to technology. So if you're looking at some form of screen, whether it's a screen in the gym or in an airport or in a doctor's office or in your home, and it's got the news on, chances are it's going to be CNN. So we're looking at those screens and we're getting propaganda fed to us that way, and ideas and things that we think are true, but we follow along because it's what we're seeing. At the same time, people who are a little more discerning, that have the ability to choose what they want to watch and choose what they want to learn about, are also using technology, particularly screens, to go and find out that information. Enter Reddit. People, it's exposure to a lot of people, a lot of things, and that's where the ball gets rolling. Just like, mainstream media can get the ball rolling with certain ideologies, so can other platforms that have a large viewership. And that's what happened. You get a lot of people talking about things, especially who doesn't want to try and make some money, and who doesn't also want to try and stick it to the man if there's a way to do it and potentially come out on top in the process. And I think that's what we've started to witness. We've got a free trading app, Robinhood, and we've got a forum for people to share ideas that could potentially disrupt the norm. And that's a combination, just like other media outlets and information centers, to create a movement.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great what they're doing because, it does. I mean, listen, I think a lot of people hate on hedge funds.
Yep.
And listen, there are some evil hedge funds out there, but a lot of hedge funds are mainly pensions. It's not like some guy invests $500 million in a hedge fund, gives them his money and says, go do what you want with it. It's mostly, it's a little of that, but it's a lot of pensions and 401ks and stuff like that. So I don't know if it sounds like this Melvin Capital is not great, is one of the bad ones. But just to throw a blanket statement out there like hedge funds are bad, which, I mean, listen, throwing a blanket statement about anything is bad. You know, just
Of course.
and one thing is bad is just not So I think that's important to say, but there is a lot of shady stuff that goes on. And, the fact that, Robinhood felt the need to halt trading is kind of ridiculous. Like there's not the stock market itself halts trading when there's disasters happening. Like, when there's major panic happening. But, to halt the buying and selling of a stock is just, and from what I was hearing, like it wasn't, they were only halting the buying. They weren't halting the selling.
Right.
Or something like that.
Right. Position closing only.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a part of that movement. I don't know enough about it, honestly, and I'm just certainly not well versed enough in the stock market to know the ins and outs of how things are connected and who's betting on what. And that's not. If anything, I am definitely like an amateur. I use Robinhood,
Well, yeah.
but I don't know enough about like all the ins and outs and why it worked, why what they did worked, and why other people are mad. But I'm watching as an observer, just seeing like everything unfold, and it does make you sort of question like, oh well, what is the truth here, And to me, what I've seen so far, I think it's just that Robinhood ran out of money to like put up for these, because it's not like they're not.
No. Well, basically, so from my, I haven't followed this closely, but from my understanding, so on this subreddit group, Wall Street Bets, basically they decided that we are going to push up the basically they found out that hedge funds were shorting GameStop stock. And basically shorting is betting on the stock to go down.
Right.
You basically bet that the stock's going to go down, and the further it goes down, the more money they make. And if it goes up, they owe money. So Wall Street Bets somehow got wind of this, and they said, okay, we're going to all buy shares of GameStop. And then I think there were more shorts, so they kept pushing it. And finally, so Melvin Capital, this is where Melvin Capital comes in. Melvin Capital funds, I think, gave 40% of Robinhood's funding. So Melvin Capital was shorting GameStop stock. So Melvin Capital basically said, if you don't halt trading, or if you don't halt the buying of this stock, we're gonna.
Oh,
So Robin said,
the worst
okay,
time.
let's just halt the buying of this stock. Right. So, basically they said, we're going to halt the buying of the stock, and basically the stock's going to go down because everyone's going to sell it. Thus, it's a win for everyone who shorted it.
Right.
But basically it's saying it can never go up until the restrictions are lifted, so basically the problem here, the thing the guys at Wall Street Bets did wrong is only buying through Robinhood.
Right.
If they were buying through Bank of America or, Merrill Lynch, Citibank, or TD, all these different places,
I got one right.
They would have been fine, because basically everyone would have needed to halt trading, and then you would have an even bigger issue on your hands. So, I think they do halt stocks, like the trading of stocks, like individual stocks, if like there's bad news that comes out about that stock, like if the CEO suddenly dies or something like that, because something that would create mass panic. But generally, individual stocks don't get halted. It's either the whole stock market or, it just goes. So basically, that's my understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I'm noticing too is that it almost seems like there is, well, first of all, I have to say this, and you know me, I'm not like crazy about Twitter. I do use it, and I have, especially this past year. But I did notice a lot of bipartisan camaraderie over the last few days. Where people from both sides are sort of saying like, "Oh, this isn't fair. Robinhood shouldn't stop trading," and whatever else. They're always, hedge funds have too much power, whatever. I don't know enough about any of that, but it is interesting to see certain people coming together, because at the end of the day, that's what I've been saying all along. It's like everybody, we all want the same thing. We all want the same thing. We just get so caught up in some certain aspects of life that we have disagreements about, and then we go and paint this huge picture about how different we are and how evil one side is versus the other. When it's at the end of the day, it's like, no, we all want truth. We all want like transparency. We all want like fairness. We all want equality.
Yeah.
It's just the vehicle to get there, and certain stops along the way. But so that was kind of nice to see that. But then at the end of it, but then I'm like reading a lot of these, like the people that are involved with Wall Street Bets, and I'm like, I get like a very conservative sort of that like tone from them, and I'm thinking like, well, I wonder where that comes from. Is there certain, like, at least from some of the people I follow on Twitter, there's like this, Trumpy sort of undertone, and I'm wondering like, oh, what's that about?
Yeah, I don't know. I first heard about it because in a fantasy baseball league that's active all year, and a couple of guys there were talking about it. So, as like I was looking into it more from them, I sort of found out what was going on a little more. And, I don't know. I mean, to me, I don't think this ends well for the guys at Wall Street Bets because, I feel like we've seen time and time again that anytime there's money involved, there's like lots of money involved, the money always wins in Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
Money always prevails, and I feel like there's going to be a lot of pressure from Wall Street and these hedge funds to crack down on what's going on. And while you may hear people like AOC and other people, speak out against what the hedge funds are doing, at the end of the day, AOC is not making any difference by herself. Everyone needs the team. I mean, did you even see AOC made a statement on Twitter about what was happening, basically saying like what you were saying, coming out against the hedge funds and Robinhood cracking down and closing trading. And then Ted Cruz responded like, amen to that or something.
Right.
And AOC immediately went to,
you tried to have me killed, so I'm going to sit this one out.
Yeah, like, really? Like,
it's freaking crazy, man.
Do you need to bring that up now? Like, he's on your side.
Yeah, she's got the crazy eyes, dude. You don't
don't you know the saying, the enemy of my enemy is my friend?
Yeah.
So.
Right. Well, she's not playing nice because she's a nutcase, but yeah, it's a shame. Yeah, man, I guess this is just something we're just gonna have to watch and see how things unfold,
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they're trying to keep this going with the new stock every day.
Right.
But they have to diversify their trading platforms. Right. I mean, they can't have one trading platform where if the trading platform shuts it down, they're done.
Right. Well, it does. I mean, there is a class action lawsuit that's being thrown at Robinhood, and I've even seen some tweets thrown around that say like, "Oh, you better get your money out of Robinhood now." It's like this lengthy process. It is insured, but to get your money, if it ever goes under, then it's going to take a while to get your money back. And I'm thinking, are they going to really get shut down? I don't see that this is something that they would get shut down over. I mean, who cares? Like, I'm sure somewhere in one of those privacy policy or those user agreements that nobody ever reads, I'm sure somewhere in there it says like, look, we're taking your money, but you're also giving it to us to entrust. You're entrusting us with it. So if something happens, like, you've given us your money, we'll do our best, but like, there's got to be some clause somewhere in the user agreement somewhere that says something about this, maybe not. I mean, I'm sure I'm one of the billion people that never read those things.
Well, I mean, and the sense I get from Robinhood is that there's not a there's not a ton of money in like people don't like if you have a Merrill Lynch account or a Charles Schwab account or something like that, that's like the actual people who are playing in the stock market, investing thousands of dollars and stuff like that. The sense I get from Robinhood is it's a lot of people buying individual shares of a stock,
Right.
like a couple of shares of a stock, which is not how you do it.
Right. It's like
But
their promo, right? Their refer a friend promo is like, you refer a friend and you'll each get one share of a stock. And it's like, I referred my mom and we got like we each got like a $3 stock, like one share of it. It's like, whoa, whereas some other websites that are more established that people are spending a lot of money on, it's like you can get $25 off, like someone that's like, 7 times what they gave us, what Robinhood gives us. So clearly you're right, there's not that much money floating around.
well,
It's not where the people are putting all their money. It's not
yeah,
for them.
like
It's for fun.
I know someone who has a Robinhood account, and she asked me what to invest in and tells me what she's investing in.
Ooh, so
And
she is it?
it's someone I work with.
Ooh.
And
Oh.
she basically, yesterday, she texted me about, uh, you know, something that basically uh, Comcast and the WWE made a streaming deal. So she was thinking about buying WWE. And, so I was basically saying, I don't know, Comcast may be the better deal here because it sounds like, Comcast is going to benefit more maybe. But so at the end of the day, she bought 2 shares of each. That's the people
I'm
buying
really
on
mulling this
Robinhood.
one over. I might buy 2 shares. That sounds
Well,
like my mom. My mom does the
I
same.
mean, it's 200. It's not like they were $5
I
stocks.
got you. Yeah, yeah, I understand.
They were $50 stocks,
Sure.
but still, like, it's not,
Right. You're
you
not going
know,
to be making thousands of dollars off that trade.
right. Well, you will if it becomes like a Tesla, but
Right.
still, like, the people who got into it would be like if Tesla, at one time, I remember seeing Tesla at $35. So it would be like if they bought 1 share of Tesla at $35 or 2 shares of Tesla at $35, they'd maybe have a few $1,000s today
Right.
if they
Well,
kept
they
it.
definitely would after the last stock split.
Right. But, like, that's not where people aren't making a ton of money off of, what's I mean, yeah, a few $1,000s can make a difference in a lot of people's lives, but that's not why you get into the stock market. You get into stock market as investments, and it's just a different mindset. I feel like Robinhood. So I don't know.
It's taking from the poor and giving to the rich. I mean, taking from the rich and giving to the poor. I think.
Yeah, so I don't know. Robin Hood's just, I don't know. I guess like maybe people have. I mean, I'm sure there are people who have gotten it, who have started off with Robin Hood and then have moved on to, like Merrill Lynch or a Charles Schwab or a TD Ameritrade or I forgot it. The Chase
Vanguard.
has one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure there are people like that, but the people buying one or two shares on Robinhood and then selling it when it goes up, when it doubles in value, if it doubles in value, they're not making any money, you know. So I don't know.
All right, let's switch gears. I got a couple of funny things from this past week. I read an article on Food Network, actually, that there's a Canadian Chinese restaurant called Aunt Dai and DAI, and it's getting some publicity because apparently the menu. I got to go there next time I'm in Montreal. But the menu, the owner decided to put very, very honest menu item descriptions on the menu. So I'll give you a couple examples here. They're pretty funny. But it's so yeah. So like it just seems like what a great concept, to like just be like all right. Uh, um, Okay, so like this is for what? So under appetizers, right? They have imperial rolls. To me, it just they basically look like you know, you can't see it. They look like spring rolls. The owner's words,
Ah.
which are next to each and every item. I spent most of my time eating Chinese food, and I didn't know these vegetable rolls are so delicious until I opened this restaurant. Also, you don't want to miss our special dipping sauce, do you? Each order has two small rolls, and as the owner, I think they are two. I think they are small too, but they are so good. So, um, and then let me find another funny one here. But anyway, so he's just like super. Okay, here's a good one. Mouth-watering chicken. Um, owner's comments. Again, this dish is very well known, and we are not 100. We are not 100% satisfied with the flavor now, and it will get better really soon. P.S. I am surprised that some customers still order this plate. In my opinion, our other plate is better. But so anyway, a little plug for this restaurant, Aunt Di in Montreal. I'm definitely going to go next time I'm up there. But there's also a really cool book out that recently just came out called Exercised, and it's basically
Was it written by Jane Fonda?
no. Oh man, you're showing your age for it. No, it's like about the evolution of fitness and sort of how primitive, talking about like our ancient ancestors, sort of how their bodies evolved physically, and one of the big takeaways that I had was that no, our culture sits too much. We're this sedentary culture now because we're all stuck on our computers and stuff. And what the book describes is actually that our ancestors sat a lot too. That there's archaeologically they find all sorts of things that prove that our ancestors sat a lot. So maybe we're not as sedentary as we think we are. But also like how to stay healthy and stuff. So that's a cool thing. I want to finish reading that book. And then I read an article. I sort of just glanced over this article, but I thought it was a really funny headline. Maybe you can comment on it, Tori, or if you saw it. But the headline was, "Why Swearing is a Sign of Intelligence, Helps Manage Pain, and More." So apparently, for everybody who ever thought having a potty mouth meant you had a low IQ, wrong.
Yeah, I actually heard that recently. Probably a similar article.
It's probably
But
based off the same research then. Yeah, maybe.
yeah, I mean, listen, I think a lot of people swear. It's not, I think that's just what like high society people say to sort of get you not to say it, not to curse.
Well, it's funny. The wealthier people that I know curse more than anyone I know, which is weird.
Right, but wealthy isn't the same as high society.
It's true, but even high society, that's sort of like a thing that's sort of like going away, you know? Would you
No,
say it's still a
no.
thing?
Well, I think it. Well, I don't think that is, but a high society today would be like just thinking you're better than everyone.
So like
And,
any politician?
well, not necessarily politicians, but I think people like when I think of people who think they're better than everyone, it's like these ultra religious people.
Oh, interesting.
Like churchgoers, like the Westboro Baptist Church, those guys. Like, I think those guys think they're better than everyone because, in God's eyes, they're doing everything right. And they'll probably tell you, people like that would probably go, "Don't curse, it's unbecoming of you," or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, obviously, not your. There are a lot of people who go to church or temple that aren't ultra religious people. Nothing wrong about going to church or temple, but there's another level where they follow everything that, don't have sex until you're married, stuff like that.
Right.
Those kind of people, it's just, I don't know. I think those people are probably the people that will tell you not to curse today.
Well, with that fucking said, no. They're also probably not watching this show. So we're free. We can curse. Oh, we can curse. Just kidding.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, it's I like a little lighthearted stuff like that. What you got? Anything else you wanted to talk about over here?
I mean, it's, there's not really. I mean, I will say that it's a little annoying that even though Biden has sworn in that the news is still nonstop Trump.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you said that. Yeah, yeah.
But
well, because it's ratings. I mean, that's how they. I mean, they signed their own death sentence with helping get Biden in because nobody's going to watch the news anymore. People watch the news all the time because they wanted to see the sensationalist headline Trump involved, and now that he's well, I don't know that he will be out of the news completely, but at least now that he's not in the White House, there's less crazy stuff,
Oh, yeah.
crazy headlines for them. I mean, as far as politics are concerned, not as far as the world is concerned.
Well, it's just I kind of expected that once Biden got into office, things would go back to not 24 hours of Trump, but maybe like 2 hours of Trump, and 22 hours of real things that are going on. I mean, obviously, there would still be the typical spin to other things, but
what news outlets are you paying attention to that they're still talking about Trump 24/7?
well, I just know that CNN's always on in the background.
I know. I was going to say, I'm sure it's not your choice, but it's there. Yeah.
Which that's always Trump, 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 Trump. Even
Right.
though, I mean, really, Trump's irrelevant now. I mean, just drop it.
Right. Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more there, Betty. But it will be interesting to see how the next 4 years play out. Is there going to be a new political party, or is that going to gain any traction? Is that going to split the conservatives in half? Is it going to? I don't know. I don't really even care. Like, I think we were texting like last week, and it's just like, you know what? Thank God, like, I'm at a point in my life where if I could just do what I got to do, and nobody's getting hurt, people that I love are healthy and safe, and we can earn a living and sleep late on the weekends if we want to, or are able to shit in a toilet, drink clean water, feed ourselves, and have a roof over our heads. The rest really doesn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, I said it like early on when Trump got elected because everyone was freaking out. I was like, even if Trump is the tyrant that you think he is, even if Trump was a Hitler type character, I have faith that even if you don't like, even if you're one of these people who, if you're a Democrat, you hate all the Republicans, or if you're a Republican, you hate all the Democrats, you gotta realize that even if you don't agree with anything they say, at the end of the day, they're still not going to stand up for blatant hatred of groups of people. Blatant, they're not going to let it become to, the Holocaust levels or
Right.
slavery levels or even Jim Crow levels again. That's not going to happen. So,
Right.
I mean, I sort of feel like it really doesn't, at the end of the day, whoever the president is, it's not going to get so bad and we do have a system in place where there is an election every 4 years.
Right.
So, I mean, it's just, it's more about, I'm more worried about the money in politics and the influence business can have in politics. where, I'd like to get that out of politics. I'd like to take the business's influence away from the politics. And the only way I see doing that is get government out of regulating stuff.
Ooh, Tori, you might want to go like this. Your libertarianism is showing.
But I mean, really, like, if, like pharmaceuticals are a big one. If, if you want to stop if you want to stop the sale of Oxy, or, I don't know, or the insurance industry. The insurance industry, I guess, is a better and easier example.
Right.
If you want to stop the insurance industry from influencing or big pharma from influencing the drug prices, you have to get rid of the FDA approval and the barrier of entry that the FDA approval creates. And so, I mean, there's still ways to do it while keeping an FDA-like approval going, but it's more complicated than we have time to get into. But,
especially because it's approaching the hour mark.
Right, and it's just and basically, as long as someone has a vested interest in keeping something the way it is, and they have the money to do it, they'll always be able to do it. They'll always find a way to do it. It just is what it is. They know how to get to the right amount of people that, is beneficial to them. It is what it is. It's like, I mean, the example I always go back to is when Bernie Sanders tried to pass a bill where basically allowing Americans to buy prescription drugs from Canada because the Canadian prices are a lot cheaper. That bill was blocked. And when you look at who blocked it, it was blocked by people who got a lot of money from big pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, so
I have zero faith in these big industries. I don't eat according to what the USDA suggests I should eat. I don't take drugs that the FDA suggests I take when, certain doctors who are paid lots of money by these pharmaceutical companies say I should take them. I don't, I don't subscribe to these beliefs or these things that are in place because people with a lot of money that are getting paid a lot of money to tell me these are the right things and the wrong things to do are not doing it for the right reasons. So why would I listen to any of these people? There's so little truth out there.
Yeah, I mean, really, you just have to do your own research and, maybe talk to people who know more about these things that you trust. And, like if you know doctors, talk to them, ask them about certain medicines and stuff like that. And, it's, there's a lot of, uh, there's been a lot of research done saying that a lot of things that these drugs treat, you don't actually need drugs or antibiotics or pills or whatever. You really just need to alter your diet. There's been a lot of studies and evidence on, just altering your diet. I think I just saw something the other day about Parkinson's that, like, I mean, probably early on, but, Parkinson's could be mitigated by, your gut biome and, stuff like that. So you never know. I mean, I think there's a lot that, and I think a lot of that is, squashed because all these big pharmaceutical companies would go under if that was the case.
Of course.
If that got out.
Right.
So
people have said that they've had their cancer cured by becoming a vegan. I mean, like, there's all kinds of things that we're supposed to not know and stuff. I mean, because industries would go under. I mean, a guy, right? Like, we've heard all these stories. A guy figured out a way to power his car with water, and he was supposedly mysteriously, like, that all information all went away. Tesla, right? Nikola Tesla figured out a way to electrify the ground without causing electrocution, people to get electrocuted, so that there could be wireless electricity. Well, energy companies don't like that, all this stuff, that there's ways around, but yet we have these systems that are in place to keep people in power and keep them wealthy. So information is suppressed, and we could be a lot further along, than we are.
Well, I mean, a great example, I just thought of this, and
here's
is
the thing, and I'll say this really quickly, and I'll shut up. Most industries want to help. They're in business because they provide a service. The service is meant to help people. The industry never wants someone to be helped so much that they no longer need the service, because then the business would go out. They would go under. So the
right.
idea is always help people just enough that they still need more help, and that's why, like, I think, even like psychotherapy, right? It's like, people can get, they're my mom, whatever. I've had this conversation with her a number of times where it's like, some people can just, maybe it doesn't cure them. Maybe people just like to talk, and maybe some therapists just like to make money. So they just keep seeing people and never really help them in the way that they could be.
Right, and I think that goes on for all kinds of, I think there are doctors like that. I think there's all kinds of people like that. But listen, there are a lot of therapists who want you to be cured and not have to come back. But I think there are probably a lot of them who sort of just string you on and tell you, just enough to make you feel like you're getting better, but,
Right.
You still need the help to come back.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing, like, basically, I mean, these drugs and stuff. But I will say, I think the one person I have faith in who I think is trying to do the right thing,
Is
but
Joe Biden. No, just kidding.
no, Elon Musk.
Yes, I agree with you. I
And
really
I
do.
think,
Yep.
but and however much he does work with the government, I think the government is hamstringing him because, listen, from what I know about his self-driving cars and stuff, the self-driving technology, that shit's ready to go. We should have self-driving cars right now.
Right.
Fully self-driving cars. But the government's like, because the government's probably getting money from Ford and Toyota and all these other companies that are like, no, we don't want that. So I don't know. Or or it's just, maybe it's just as innocent as we want to be 100% sure that nothing's ever going to happen, but that's bullshit. That's never going to. I've said this. The only time we're never going to see no accidents from self-driving cars or involving self-driving cars until every single car on the road is a self-driving car.
Right. Of course.
So, that's, whoever says that is just, whoever points out the one or two accidents that a self-driving car has been involved in over the 10 years that it's been tested, you just can't.
They're suppressing their. Yep.
Yeah. So, and, speaking about the wireless electrification, Elon Musk has stated that he wants to give everyone free Wi-Fi.
Right.
By putting satellites in space that would.
Right. It's possible.
So, I think he's the one. If I had to bet on one person who is in it for the right reasons, it's Elon Musk.
I don't disagree with you. I really don't disagree with you. So, well, on that note, should we wrap it up? Considering that's kind of as light as it's going to get, Elon Musk might save the day.
Yeah, I mean, I've said it. I said it before. It's a shame he's not American, because he would be one person I'd vote for president.
Oh yeah.
But he's not American, and I mean, listen, I think that law is, I don't know, I think that should probably be taken out, because, that you have to be born in America. I think I get why it was put in the first place,
Sure.
when the founding fathers were writing things up. That was probably a legitimate worry,
right.
that someone would come in, run for president, that an outsider, they were worried about the English reclaiming the territory.
Right.
one day. So it's, that was a legitimate threat. But now, I mean, I think we have a good enough understanding of who people are that if there were red flags, that we could say something. But anyway, Elon Musk 2024.
That's what I'm saying. Cool.
So
Well, good talking to you, brother, and I hope
yeah.
nobody
Yeah,
participated today, but that's okay. Maybe they'll watch and enjoy and tune in next time.
Well, yeah, I mean, we sort of throw a monkey in the wrench by doing, or wait, is that the saying?
You threw a monkey wrench in the socket, or you threw a wrench at a monkey. You threw a monkey
Something like
into a socket.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball.
If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a monkey.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, we, doing it on Saturday instead of Sunday, maybe people are doing things, other things going on. But I mean, before we were recording this and doing it and uploading it to
Right.
just in podcast. Now it's live, so
right.
We do it live because if people want
to,
if people want to show up and hang out and give their input, that just makes for a better conversation.
Right.
So,
one which we're willing to have. So, thank you.
Yeah. So, if you're watching, if you ended up watching on the rewind or, whatever, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications so you'll know when a new episode goes live. Because, like we said, we don't have a set schedule right now. It probably won't be for a long time.
Not that long.
Well, yeah, but even if you do have a set schedule, things are going to come up.
Right.
So, and also go subscribe to us on whatever podcast platform you listen to. Give us a rating. Give us a 5-star rating. Comment. Review us. Do all those things. And I don't know. That's it. Anything else?
You said it all, brother. Thank you guys for listening and watching, and we'll see you next time.
And all this stuff, all the information, social media, and everything is in the description. So there you go. All right.
Another one in the books. Thank you, guys.
See you.
Great story. Thank you.
Bye.